I stood at gate 32B, double-checking my boarding pass and glancing at the departure screen. Everything seemed normal: flight to Cancun, on time, boarding in 20 minutes. I could already imagine the warm sand under my feet and the sound of waves crashing. After years of work, endless overtime, and being the family's unofficial ATM, this vacation was supposed to be a turning point. A well-earned break. I looked around for my sister Danielle, my cousin Rob, and my younger brother Mike. We'd all planned this trip together. Well, they planned, and I paid. Plane tickets? On me. Luxury Airbnb? On me. Spending cash? You guessed it. They had convinced me that this getaway would be a celebration of family bonding. But they were nowhere in sight. I checked my phone. No texts. No calls. Odd. Then, suddenly, a message from Danielle popped up. Danielle, Lamau, don't be mad. It was just a joke. We canceled your ticket yesterday. Surprise, smiley face emoji, enjoy your staycation. I blinked. I stared at the message again. Was this some kind of sick prank? I opened the airline app. My reservation was marked as cancelled. Cold, slow fury crawled up my spine. My fingers trembled. Not from sadness. Not from confusion. From sheer rage. They thought it was funny? That I'd dropped nearly $10,000 for a vacation I wouldn't even attend? That leaving me stranded at the airport like some unwanted baggage was a joke? I called Danielle. No answer. I called Rob. Straight to voicemail. Mike had the nerve to send me a meme of a crying baby with the caption, "When you realize you're not coming to paradise." They'd all blocked me. The sun blazed over Cancun, casting golden light over the resort's infinity pool and marble-tiled patios. It was a picture-perfect scene, palms swaying, waves sparkling. But for Danielle, the tropical fantasy was starting to unravel fast. "Wait, what do you mean the rental car isn't paid for?" She snapped at the young attendant in broken Spanish, squinting through her oversized sunglasses. Her voice carried, drawing side eyes from other guests lounging nearby. "I mean," the attendant replied calmly, "the card on file was declined. You need another payment method." Danielle groaned and turned to Rob and Mike. "James was supposed to cover this. Didn't he set it up?" Rob shrugged, a half-empty margarita in his hand. "He probably meant to, but you know how he is, always complaining about money. Maybe he forgot?" Danielle rolled her eyes. "We literally told him this was part of the package." "Well," Mike chimed in, scrolling through his phone, "we did cancel his ticket behind his back. Maybe he's just being a little petty." A beat of silence passed. The unspoken truth hovered between them. The joke hadn't been funny anymore, not since they realized James had also canceled the Airbnb. That morning, they'd arrived at the luxury villa they'd boasted about for weeks, only to find the gates locked and the security guard informing them that the reservation had been revoked. No explanation. No refund. "Didn't you use his credit card?" Danielle hissed, remembering now that every major expense had run through James. Flights, bookings, deposits, everything. Mike frowned. "I thought he wouldn't notice if we tweaked a few things. But yeah. Looks like he noticed." They were now holed up in a cheap hotel off the tourist strip, where the AC sputtered, and the shower dripped rust-colored water. Rob's bed had ants. Danielle's phone charger was stolen at the airport. And Mike? He lost his luggage, along with all his designer beachwear. Rob's phone buzzed. A message from James. "James. Hey fam. How's paradise? Just checking in to say, you're on your own. I'm done funding your lives. Good luck out there, James." Rob read the message aloud, his voice slow, unsure. Danielle's face went pale. Mike's jaw dropped. "He's serious," Rob said. "Dead serious," Danielle whispered. Outside, a mariachi band played for a crowd of honeymooners. Inside their room, paradise had officially slipped through their fingers. Back in Seattle, I sat on my worn leather couch, a fresh cup of coffee in hand, and silence all around. I should have been lying on a beach right now, but I wasn't. Instead, I was staring at spreadsheets and account logins, finally doing what I should have done years ago. Cut them off. Danielle, Rob, Mike, they had leeched off me for far too long. It hadn't started that way. When Mom passed, I stepped up. Paid Mike's tuition when he dropped out, twice. Covered Danielle's rent during her influencer phase. Rob hadn't worked a full-time job in 3 years. Yet somehow they always found ways to vacation, buy new phones, and live like trust fund kids. Because of me. Not anymore. I started with the shared accounts. Danielle's phone plan, cancelled. Mike's gym membership, gone. Rob's Netflix, Spotify, and even the family Amazon Prime, revoked. Then came the big one. I called the bank and removed every authorized user from my credit cards. Rob had racked up a $900 bar tab last month. Danielle had accidentally bought a $400 designer purse using my card. It stopped now. As I clicked confirm to remove the last of them from my accounts, I felt a rush. Power. Peace. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I let it ring out. Then a voicemail popped up. Danielle's voice, breathless and tense. "James, seriously? What the hell? We have nothing out here. We're stranded. No hotel, no car, no cash. This isn't funny anymore. Call me back." I deleted it. Then came a text from Mike. "Mike. Okay man, we get it. You're mad. But can you just wire us some emergency cash? Just for a few days. We'll pay you back, promise." They never had. Not once. Another buzz, this time Rob. "Rob. Come on bro. We said sorry. Sort of. You're really gonna do this to your own family?" I stared at that message for a long time. And then I typed. "Me. You did this to yourselves. Enjoy your vacation. Send." The messages kept coming that night. Some begging. Some angry. Some outright manipulative. The classic mix. But I didn't budge. I turned off my phone, turned on some Miles Davis, and leaned back. For the first time in years, I felt free. 2 days later, Danielle stood outside a beachside cafe, shielding her eyes from the glaring midday sun. Her designer sandals, once a status symbol, were now coated in a layer of dust and sand. Her carefully curled hair had gone limp in the heat, and her voice had taken on a desperate edge. "No, I don't have another card," she said into the phone, trying to keep calm. "Can you just run it again?" The cashier shook his head apologetically. "Lo siento." Declined again. She ended the call, humiliated, and shuffled back to the wobbly plastic table where Rob and Mike were nursing 2 shared bottles of water and a stale sandwich they'd split. "Well?" Rob asked, peeling back the sandwich's edge to check for mold. Danielle sat down heavily. "Still nothing. All my cards are frozen. Even my Uber account's dead. And guess what? My landlord texted me. Rent bounced." Mike buried his face in his hands. "James nuked everything. We didn't just lose a vacation, we lost our whole damn lives." "Speak for yourself," Rob grunted. "I still have that crypto wallet." "No, you don't," Danielle cut in. "You kept it on your old laptop. The one you pawned." He deflated instantly. They sat in silence, watching the happy, suntanned tourists drift by, drinking cocktails, taking selfies, living the life they thought they'd be enjoying. Danielle's voice cracked. "I mean, we didn't think he'd actually cut us off." Mike snorted. "Of course we didn't. He's always bailed us out. No matter what." Rob nodded, suddenly sober. "Even after Mom's funeral. Remember? He paid for the whole thing. We didn't even ask." Danielle was quiet. The realization was sinking in now, like salt water in a wound. They hadn't just lost their funding. They'd lost their brother. Not because he abandoned them. Because they betrayed him. "I don't think we can fix this with a text," Mike said quietly. Danielle's eyes welled up. "Then we better do something more." It was a quiet Sunday morning, one of those rare, misty Seattle days when the world felt like it had hit the mute button. I was halfway through a book and a second cup of coffee when there was a knock at my door. Unexpected. Firm. I opened it, and there they were. Danielle, Rob, and Mike. Slightly sunburned, disheveled, and dragging worn-out suitcases behind them. They looked like they hadn't slept in days. The smug, selfie-ready confidence they'd left with had dissolved into something rawer. Realer. "Hey," Danielle said, her voice small. I didn't move. Didn't say anything. Just stared. Mike stepped forward, hands in his hoodie pockets. "We, took a red-eye. Couldn't afford checked bags, so we traveled light." Silence. Rob cleared his throat. "We know you're pissed. We deserve it. But if you'll let us in. We just want to talk. I stepped aside. Not because I'd forgiven them, but because something in their eyes had shifted. This wasn't another ploy. There were no crocodile tears this time. Just three people who finally understood the cost of their actions. They sank into the living room couch like survivors of a shipwreck. Danielle looked around, then whispered, "I forgot how quiet it is here." I nodded. "Peaceful, isn't it?" She gave a soft, remorseful smile. "We messed up, James. It wasn't just the airport. It was years of taking advantage of you. Of assuming you'd always be there to fix things." Mike looked up, eyes rimmed red. "You paid for my mistakes more times than I can count. I thought you wanted to. I didn't think I was using you." "You were," I said flatly. He nodded. "I know." Rob leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "We never thought you'd leave us out there. But you did. And it was the best thing that could have happened. I got a job offer this morning. Remote IT work. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. Something I earned." Danielle wiped a tear from her cheek. "I got a call from the boutique. They want me back, part-time. I'm gonna start paying rent. Myself." Mike gave a half laugh. "I applied to community college last night. For real this time." I didn't speak right away. Because I had no idea what to say. The rage, the betrayal, it had burned bright. But what was left now wasn't fire. It was ash. Cold, but clean. Cleared. "You think one apology fixes this?" I asked. "No," Danielle said. "But it's a start." I looked at them, my family. Flawed. Stupid. Selfish. But maybe. Not beyond redemption. I stood at the window as morning light spilled over my neighborhood. Behind me, the three of them sat quietly, no whining, no jokes, no fake apologies. Just waiting. And for once, I had control. "I'm not going to pretend this didn't hurt," I said finally. "What you did was cruel. Not just the airport. It was every time you used me and made me feel like it was expected." Danielle nodded. "I know. You were always the fallback plan. And I was tired of being the safety net while you all walked tightropes blindfolded," I added. "You think you've hit bottom now, but you're lucky I didn't let you fall harder." "I thought you loved being the one in control," Rob said quietly. "I thought maybe that's what kept you giving." I turned to face him. It wasn't control. It was love. Real love. The kind where you sacrifice so others don't have to. But I learned something out of all this: you can't love someone into being responsible. Mike sat up straighter. "So what now?" I crossed my arms. "Now? You get to earn your way back." Danielle looked up. "Meaning?" "I'm not cutting you out," I said. "But I'm not rescuing you again either. From now on, no more handouts. If you need money, you work for it. If you make mistakes, you fix them. You show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard. And if you ever humiliate me like that again, I won't just cut you off, I'll walk away. Forever." They were silent for a moment. Then Danielle stood. "Fair." Rob nodded. "More than fair." Mike smiled faintly. "We deserve that." I walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and pulled out a carton of eggs. "Now, who still remembers how to cook breakfast?" Danielle raised her hand sheepishly. "I burn toast." "Perfect," I said. "Your own eggs." They all laughed, a little shaky, but real. That morning, we didn't fix everything. But we cracked eggs, we passed plates, we shared silence and simple words. And for the first time in a long while, we started something better than forgiveness. We started over. 6 months later, I was back at the airport, same gate, same airline. But this time, the flight was for me, and I held the reins. Cancun again. But not for them, for me. I booked a small beach bungalow, just a short walk from the shoreline. No luxury villa. No infinity pool. Just peace, a hammock, and a suitcase filled with paperbacks and sunscreen. But here's the twist: I wasn't going alone. As I wheeled my luggage through the terminal, I spotted Danielle ahead in line at security, waving with a grin. Rob was behind her, talking to a gate agent and triple-checking the boarding passes. Mike came running up, coffee in hand, nearly tripping over his own backpack. We were going together, but this time, everything was different. Each of them had chipped in. Paid their own way. Danielle had saved up from her boutique job. Rob's IT contract had turned into a full-time role. Mike was taking classes online now and had used part of his scholarship refund to join us. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. I'd made my terms clear: if we were doing this trip, we were doing it as equals. No freeloading. No fake apologies. Just a clean slate and shared responsibility. They had surprised me. Not with words, but with consistency. Checking in without asking for money. Apologizing again when it mattered. Giving space when I needed it. They'd respected my boundaries, and over time, I began to believe maybe they had changed. On the plane, Rob leaned over the aisle. "You still thinking about that day at the airport?" I smirked. "Which one?" He chuckled. "The one where you taught us the hard way." I looked out the window as the plane began to taxi. "Yeah. I think about it." Danielle leaned across Mike. "Best thing you ever did." I didn't answer right away. But I smiled. When we landed in Cancun, we didn't race to post photos or brag online. We took it slow. Explored the local markets. Shared tacos under the stars. Laughed, real, belly-deep laughter that hadn't existed between us in years. One afternoon, we sat together on the beach, feet buried in the warm sand, the ocean stretching endlessly ahead. Mike turned to me. "Thanks for giving us another chance." I didn't say "you're welcome." I didn't say "I forgive you." I just nodded and said, "Let's make sure I never have to again." And with that, we watched the waves roll in, our past behind us, the tide carrying it away. This time, they hadn't upgraded to paradise by ditching me. They'd earned their place beside me. The real upgrade? Respect. Boundaries. Family, rebuilt.